Today we are going to be making a sad electric guitar beat from scratch in FL Studio. I will be showing you guys everything from the melody to the drums, so let's just jump right in. Alright, so we're now here in FL Studio 21. First things first, we want to open up a guitar. In this case, I will just be using this electric guitar I have over here in contact. It's the electric sunburst guitar, so you guys can use this one if you want to, or you can just use a different sounding guitar, but make sure it is sounding as an electric guitar. Next, we're going to go over to the BPM, and I'm actually going to bump this up to something like 150. You can actually go for whatever type of range you want to, but I feel like when it comes to sad electric guitars, I really like going for something in between 150 and 165. That is kind of the peak and perfect sound. Now that we have opened up the piano roll, it's time to pick a scale and start laying down our guitar pattern. So in this case, I will actually just be using the E minor scale. As you guys can see right here, we already have it highlighted, and now it's time we actually lay down those notes. So since we are in the E minor scale, we're going to do it very simply. Just start off by making an E minor triad like this. Now this is just going to be a very standard thing, but what we're going to do is actually just invert this middle note. So we're starting off by pitching it up 1 octave like this. So we have our first chord. From here, we want to make our vibe a little bit more sad. So the way we're going to do this is by using a chord progression, but I firstly want to extend this out a little bit just so we have it lasting a bit longer. Since we are working in a bit of a higher BPM, we can actually afford to do this. But for the last 2 bars right here, I'm actually going to keep them a bit shorter. So what we're going to do to make this more emotional is first of all copy this, and then we're going to use that chord progression I talked about earlier. So let's just highlight all of these chords or notes and then just pitch them down by 2 semitones like this. Now you guys might see that this F isn't actually in key, so let's just see if we pitch it up by 1 semitone, it's going to be nicely in key right there. Now like I said, I want to shorten this, so let's just actually have it lasting for 1 bar right there. And from here we're going to do the same thing, so just copy this over and pitch it down by 3 from the second chord right there, which is going to be pitched down by 5 from the first one. Again, this one isn't really in key, so let's just adjust this and make sure that it is right. Yeah, so you guys can already hear we have that sad type of vibe going on, but since we are using a guitar, we don't just want to have chords playing over and over again. We actually want to strum these notes out a little bit because it's going to give us that realistic guitar type sound. So let's just pitch these 2 to the side while we're pitching this one up 2 as well. So just playing a little bit around with the strumming, you guys can obviously do it a little bit differently, but this is kind of just a trick to really get that emotional sound. Now from here, what I'm actually going to do is just copy the whole thing over, but we don't want to have it repeat over and over again. So we're going to do a little bit of an adjustment at the end right here. And I'm pretty much just going to bring this up again, just so we kind of have it give a little bit more energy towards the end right here. So this is pretty much going to be our main chord progression. Now from here, we just want to obviously randomize that velocity to get more of that realistic sound. And we're also going to add some more top notes to really get some more movement on the whole guitar pattern. The way I like doing this is just by going over to the slice tool, and literally we're just going to slice up some of the notes we are already using in our chords, because we want to have them repeat over and over again. And then you can obviously just go with the pencil tool and add a few notes here and there where you feel like they really fit together. Alright, so with those transition notes and a little bit of those top notes, this is how the guitar pattern sounds now. Remember, this is without any effects, just those transition notes. Right, so now we're really starting to nail down that deep and emotional sound out of our guitar. You can really see how the electric guitar emphasizes this type of sound, considering we could have used either nylon or an acoustic guitar. But really, when you are using the electric guitar, it's really going to emphasize that deep and emotional type of sound out of your guitar pattern. From here, it's time we add some effects to our guitar, and we're going to keep these very, very simple. So firstly, we're just starting off with a plain and simple roam reverb right here. Nothing too fancy. You just want to make sure to turn down the mix knob a little bit. You can hear how it gives us a little bit more atmosphere, enhances the sound. 19 to 20% is pretty much good to go with this one. Also going to add EQ, just want to clean up the guitar sound a bit. When it comes to sad guitar beats, they also really work when you add a little bit more of a vinyl texture to it. So I think I'm going to open up a little bit of RC20 and try to mess around with a couple of the different presets to see if we can enhance the sound. Okay, so this final 3 preset is definitely it for this one. Gonna turn the noise down as well as the distortion, since the guitar is already a little bit distorted. Let's also open up a little bit of chorus. Use the subtle 1 preset. It's in the name, you want to make sure the chord is a bit subtle, but it's still present in the mix. Also like using this preset right here, it's called vocal space and guitar rig. It's really just to kind of clean up the sound a little bit. You can hear how it ducks it a bit down, but you can also just turn the gain up by using this right here. This preset is really sauce right here. It's gonna give you that type of sound that you're looking for with the guitar. Right, so since we have the guitar pattern finished, it's actually time that we lay down a little bit of that low end. Since we have kind of removed everything with the EQ from the low end on the guitar, we're just gonna add a simple bass pattern. To do this, I'm just using the Scarby bass in Kontakt as well. Pretty much just gonna use the root notes of our main guitar, so it's gonna be very simple, but it's really gonna fill out that low end we're looking for. So very simply, just put it down on the root notes right here, just to really fill out the low end of our guitar pattern. One more thing you can do is just go over to the mixer and open up the EQ on the bass. And we're just going to remove a little bit of the high end, since we don't want too much of the sounds clashing right there. Right now we're going to add a little bit of a pad in the background, so I'm just going to look through a couple different sounds and see if we can find a nice pad that's going to fit the guitar. Alright, so the way I'm actually going to do this is go over to my Motion bundle kit. As you guys can see, we literally have 4 different kits all in one bundle, but I'm actually going to head over to the one shot section. I'm going to pick one of the one shots from the synths I have in the pack. And I think this soft one right here is going to fit nicely. So just drag this in and put it to the 3rd insert. In the mixer right here, I have a RC20 using the magnitude transition 1, as well as this roam with 50%, just so we can get a lot of ambience from that synth. And what we're pretty much going to do from here is just open up the piano roll and pretty much do it very, very easy. So just lay down these same exact notes or the chords that we have from the guitar. So this right here was pretty much our chord. So we're just going to keep this as it was right there and do the same thing for the rest of the chords too. This is just kind of a more of an accent sound we can have in the back. Really just to again emphasize and add that depth to the whole sample. Now the key to really get a sad and emotional sound out of your sample is to just layer the whole thing with a vocal. So I'm gonna look through either Splice or Arcade and see if we can find a nice vocal that's gonna fit the guitar nicely. Alright, so I did find a couple different phrases in Arcade using the hooked bank. Then we have the second phrase that sounds like this.
I gotta tell you that I want you, want you. Ooh, I gotta tell you that I want you.
So what I think I'm going to do is actually render these phrases out, and then we can actually cut them up, slice them up a little bit and mix them together so we have a nice and cool sounding phrase that's actually going to fit with the whole sample. Alright, so now we have it exported, as you guys can see, and I did just chop it up so it fits nicely together. Both phrases with the effect sound like this. So you can hear we really added that ambience. So that's pretty much going to be perfect with the guitar. From here, I'm just going to add a quick little texture in the background to fill out the sample, and that's pretty much going to be it. That's the sample right there. All this needs now is just some drums. Right, so as you guys heard, it's time we add some drums. As for the drum sounds I'm using, they're of course coming from the Motion bundle kit. So I've already showed you guys the one shots, but of course we're also going to be using the drums that are in the pack. So if you guys haven't checked out the kit yet, make sure to do so. You can find it on my website, which is BBMarko.com, or you guys can just click the first link down in the description below. Just let's add that clap first, get the bounce going and everything. From here, we're also going to add a hi-hat. Now I'm pretty much just going to drag in one of these, and then I'm actually going to head over to the MIDI kit right here. As you guys can see, we literally have 100 hi-hat MIDIs in this pack as well. So let's just drag in one of these and see if it fits nicely with our sample. Yeah, this one, 37 right there. I think this goes nicely. That's really how we get that emotional bounce too. with the kick as well. Boost it up a bit. That's definitely it right there. Right now, let's mute this bass and add that 808. Alright, so we're just following the root notes from the guitar pattern. Very simple bounce, you don't want to overdo it. Since we have the vocal and everything going on, you definitely want to keep the drum super simple. Right, so here we have the full beat. Super cool intro, check this out. Added a bit of a texture.
Shut up, Marco.
Bass comes in, vocals as well. This stuff is fire, bro. Then it drops right here. Wanted to keep it very, very open in this first section. Drums slap and then the vocals come in for the second part. Then we come into the verse right here. Again, super bouncy but still super open. Transition into the busy part of the verse. The vocals are amazing. Then it comes into the bridge. Love filter, texture and everything. Bass as well. Right before it drops back in.